All right, so here we are. This is our first live Masculine Journey Radio, and we're getting ready for the show. It airs and like that. And so to cue you guys in on some things that will be a little bit different is number one, you get to hear all the breaks. I mean, when we go to a break, you're going to hear what goes on in between. You're going to hear what goes on between the regular Masculine Journey show and what goes on after hours. But the other thing that is going to happen is we play, if you listen to our radio show before, we play movie clips that there might be copyright violations or something for YouTube. So you won't be hearing those because we don't actually hear them unless we have our headphones on. And so since you don't have headphones on.
But you can hear it by looking on the show on the
yeah, you can go. That's what we want to tell you is if you can go listen to the podcast later at masculinejourneyradio.org and listen to the movie clips and the whole show again if you want to review it. But as far as what you're getting to see live, it's what Harold here is that he was not facing the camera, but we'll get a camera on him later so that you could get to see him. But so what he's hearing, he doesn't hear the movie clips. What you just see is what actually is going on in the studio. And just so you know, this is the actual truth booth. This is not an imitation truth booth. This is the actual truth booth. This is where the Truth Talk Live was originally birthed. And that window that you're looking at right there, it's actually bulletproof glass. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it is, because back in the day, some of the disc jockeys that used to be on this radio station weren't too thrilled with all the information. People were taking some pot shots, and so they put bulletproof glass seriously in that window right there. So when we say we're deep in an entrenched bunker when we're talking after hours, it's seriously all that. So, I hope you guys enjoy. By all means, we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel or subscribe to the Facebook or like it if it's on Facebook, whatever you want to do. Give us feedback. How can we do it better? We'd like to know all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, the rest of us is just going to be hanging out. And just so you'll be the first to know that tonight we learned for the first time that my buddy Andy here actually has another name that they call him.
Oh, you get a new name?
You got a new name.
Yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah. So if you want to know why, you'll have to reach him at Andy.
No. I'm telling on the radio tonight. That's not going to go with.
Dude, we don't need to change your email address, do we?
No.
Jessica.
I might throw in an alias.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll do any good to complain about our faces because they can't be changed.
Nah, they can't.
No.
You get an idea.
You get what you pay for.
That's fine.
Yeah. So David Braswell says, "Hey, Sam." But we're learning now that if you say, "Hey," stuff happens like that. I hear loud noises.
Yeah.
So apparently, did you subscribe on Facebook,
I did.
David?
He's watching
I'm
us
watching.
on his
Watching.
phone
Very,
also.
very flattering view, Sam.
Thank you. That's all I got, man.
So that's the
I
box.
only use
that's
what I have, man. That's
in the background. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
You're
what's
wrong.
happening.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
So for those who've never seen you before, you can kind of call off your, who's this sitting on the end?
I'm Danny
Danny what?
Marsh,
Yeah,
not Jessica.
not Jessica. And
I'm David Braswell.
Also known as Dave.
David.
Better known as.
Dave.
David.
usually a guest. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Rodney Smoots.
Yeah, we don't need to talk to the mics. They're not working yet.
They're not.
No.
You're gonna see how long it
I
went.
get the mics off of the.
Yeah.
Hard to
get
tell.
used
There's one
to.
over there.
Yeah, there's one there, there's one there, and there's one
Yeah.
there.
So they're just getting it from around us.
Practicing. Where are they?
So what's your name?
Where are all the cameras?
I'm Art Werfel Ardell Rupert.
You know, Art, I don't think I've ever heard your last name before. I couldn't have told you what it was.
Oh, that's it.
He seems like a Rupert.
Yeah,
Rupert.
Yeah.
It's like every Rupert I ever knew.
And I'm Andy Thomas, aka Jessica.
Yeah. I'm Sam Main.
And Robbie Delmore, and on the couch, bringing up.
Harold Dyer.
Yeah, and
The
why is
old-
Grant sitting here since he's on the show?
He will be in the after hours.
You're after hours.
Okay.
Say hello.
No problem. Brant Taylor. Hello.
Didn't know Grant's last name either, so that's
You
good.
did?
You can't see them because they're behind the camera, but we will get them on
My
later.
phone.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
So
You
they
don't
pop
actually have
up.
to say your name.
They
It's like
pop up
listed
on the
underneath
text.
your box.
Oh, is it? I cannot look at the feeds. I didn't know that. Thank you, Dave.
So we have 3 minutes of awkward silence now.
We've probably got about a minute.
That's
Yeah.
illegally name.
Yeah, true. Dave's not my legal name either.
It isn't. Keep it up. I'm gonna do shit work.
No.
We can fix it.
Would have put like masking tape on my shirt that says
You
Dave.
said there's other microphones besides that one? There's one on this also?
Well, yeah, there's microphones for the show and there's microphones for the feed. And they're
Right.
two different-
Right, the microphones for the feed are on the cameras on the computer.
Okay,
And so there's a camera there, there's a camera
We're
there.
gonna make the covenant of silence here soon.
yeah.
Or covenant of silence.
Cone.
Yeah, I get it wrong.
There it is.
Oh, boy.
Here it is, Christmas Eve. Few more. I got some WD-40 out in the truck. I should have brought it.
It wouldn't be the
Save
same.
that one chair in the deer stand.
Need grease.
Welcome to Masculine Journey. We are glad to have you with us this week, and you'll be glad to know that we're finishing up the topic we started a couple weeks ago. This became pillars really kind of quickly.
We have a tendency to do that.
Well, it would be more of a stool, really. It's just 3 legs, so it couldn't be.
It's enough you don't fall over.
That's true. That's a fact.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so we've done 3 shows on this topic, and we'll be finishing up the topic today on the show. And Andy, would you share with us a little bit about the topic?
Sure. So we believe, as the masculine journey team, that each one of us, God, in the way He created us, put a certain glory, or just Robbie calls it a special sauce, just how He uniquely created us, and we offer up that to the world from what He gives us. He tells us to become the light of the world, and we feel like it's a reflection back on Him. We're not really the source of it. We're just reflecting it back because that's the way He created us. And I think we sometimes tend to look at people and see they're not glory, the opposite of that. And we're really, the focus of this is to really look for the glory in other people and call it out, because that's what God does with us. And we act like God when we do that.
Yeah, we're the reflected light
Yep.
to the earth, right? And
Right.
we're reflecting God's glory. And so each one of us have a unique piece of God's glory that
Right.
we're designed to reflect to the earth. And if it doesn't get reflected, it doesn't get seen,
Uh-huh.
right? Because Andy, you have your own version of it, which is different than ours, which
Yeah.
is different than Robbie's. And so what we've been doing over the last few weeks, as Andy was saying, is we've been trying to show you an example of calling out that glory that we see in other people so that you can do that with those around you.
And when you first hear it, I wanted to throw this out too, is sometimes it almost sounds blasphemous, or it just seems out of order of what we hear in church or whatever. But I mean, if you really look at how God calls these things out, or He brings them to light in Scripture about how, He created us in our mother's womb. Well, how did He create us? We know God was a creative God who created this incredible universe. Well, humans are the crown jewel of that. So surely there's some glory that He put in us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so we're going to continue that topic. And we actually continue with David, who you have the first clip. That'd be you, David.
Yeah, that's just because
Dave.
That's
Dave,
just
Dave.
because I got Danny. I think
He's used to
always the first one. No, I'm used to David.
Are you?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we can work on that. We'll have to rectify that, won't we?
There's no reason to rectify it or work on it. It's good. So Danny was the lucky one that I got for this. Sorry, because it might not.
Yeah, it wasn't very loud.
It's like one of my first time again.
I know.
And so this clip that I chose, actually, when we were picking clips for it, I chose this clip. It was shortly after our first hunting experience together. So we'll listen to the clip and then come back and talk about Danny a little bit.
Okay, here we go.
That's a great clip. It's from Secondhand Lions. We use that in boot camp all the time. And, like I said, I picked that clip because that was after the first hunting experience I had with Danny. But I picked that just because that's what we were doing at that time. What I really see in Danny with the glory that he shows is that he is able to connect with anybody based through his stories, through the walks of life he had, to be able to connect to them on a level that shows them that they're not alone. And I can tell you one thing's for sure, with them, I know without a doubt, if I call Danny day or night, doesn't matter what time, unlike Sam, he was definitely going to pick up the phone and definitely listen to everything I have for him. And, just his energy alone, you can just feel the vibe of what God is doing in his life and bringing it to the other men around us.
Yeah, he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
I remember when he first came to a boot camp, he came with a bunch of buddies, and we were at Park Springs that time. So it was kind of a new experience for us. And the next thing you know, Danny's just in there middle of us cutting up. I was like, it just felt like he was one of the group right from the get-go, that here's a guy who knew some of what the masculine journey was about because he had read Wild at Heart and had some of those books and had kind of even thought about doing some kind of ministry along those lines. And it was just interesting. I mean, he came down, he fly fished with Robbie on the very first day we had to go fishing and stuff. And it was like, it was kind of like it was meant to be. And if, like David was saying, if you call him up, he'll be there, but he's always willing to step in and speak up about things in your life, things in his life. He shares his life. He's got just a heart for others, his heart for his family, his wife. And it's great to watch that in a man versus just a guy. He's a man. He steps up. He does things that you need to do as a biblical man, as far as fathering your children, as far as even there leading your wife. And I love it because at one time he got called up. He was at camp. He gets called up. Next thing you know, he's on his way to see Michelle and take care of her and rescue her. And it's great to be able to watch another guy in our team being able to have that with his spouse and love his wife well.
And that was not a short drive.
No.
From where we were to where you were going. I mean, that was a pretty good round trip.
Mhm. And
The other thing I see in Danny that is just spectacular, in my opinion, is intimacy. That he has ability to be intimate, not just with all of us, but with God. Because it's not unusual at all for me to get a text at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning from Danny. Robbie, what is the Hebrew for this? Or Robbie, I'm studying this, and this is what I'm. In other words, that's an intimate time. To me, you know when somebody's spending time with the Word of God, because that is Jesus, and that is intimacy, truly, when you study that way. And he gets insights that truly blow me away. You know, every season he's got something new, and you know what he's working on, and you know where God's taking him. And that's the idea of a disciple to me as well, that he's an enthusiastic learner. In other words, he's always trying to learn, and he's pushing into the next barrier. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get breakthrough in his relationships with his family, but also in his relationship with God, and I love it.
Yeah, you guys have both said the things that I would add to that. But you know, the one thing about Danny is when you see him take on a talk, when we do a boot camp talk, I always find it so interesting that he gets a talk and initially he's like, well, that's maybe not the one I would have picked. You know, it's kind of the look he has, but then he digs into it, and then next thing you know, you can't get him out of it. You know, he's just loving what he's learning, and he's trying to pick that up. As a matter of fact, you know, he did a couple talks at the last boot camp, and the first thing he said, we were talking about the next one, he's like, I think I want to stick with those because there's more I need to mine out of them. There's more I need to learn from it. So that avid learner, you know, that's definitely there. And then the compassionate heart. You know, you can't spend time with Danny and not realize that behind him is just an amazing, compassionate heart for those around him. You know, and he would do just about anything for anybody, as long as they don't cross you. Isn't that right, Danny?
That's right.
That's right. As long as they don't cross you. Then they're off the list.
One of the things that I love about the man is you can't feel bad around him. It don't matter how you feel, when you get in his presence, you're going to feel better.
Yeah, he's gonna
He
crack a
always
joke.
he has a way of lifting you up.
Yeah, he's gonna. Well, that's easier to do with you than it is some of the rest of us.
Right. Didn't he quarter slice?
Yeah, he scored a
Quarter
slice.
Yeah, I agree with everything. I mean, guys, you stole everything I was going to say, but
We're still trying.
yeah, I guess. I won't sit here and ramble.
Go ahead. We
You're
got
on
two
Wouldn't be the
minutes.
first time.
We're glad.
I love his southernisms. You know, I love he and I are kindred spirits on the Andy Griffith show, but you know, he just does have a heart for people, and he is absolutely an enthusiastic learner. I mean, the time when we were going through the names, and he gave me the Hebrew name on the rock, and just things like that that make a difference. That Danny sees you. You know, Danny sees you, and his heart is towards you and breaks for you in any pain that you may be experiencing. And he's, I mean, I can't imagine, you know, the guys that God has brought in the group, but, you know, it was like Danny from the ministry that he came from was like pre-made for it. I mean, he just kind of came in and just felt very, I think you felt very comfortable, but it was just because of who you are. I think we've kind of mentioned that. So
Well, thank you. That's very insightful, Jessica. We appreciate that.
they're going to hear the rest of the story sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are kind words. I'm all broke up over here. My tough guy image is looking over here. But yeah, I mean, you guys are awesome. Yeah, it was a comfortable fit. I mean, I knew you were my kind of people, so.
Well, thank you. We're going to talk more about it when we come back. MasculineJourney.org. We'll talk with you after the break. Sorry we cut you a little short there. So sorry we couldn't cut you a little short there.
That's fine.
That's okay. So we're going to come back. You have any more you want to say?
Not at the moment.
Okay, and so we're going to come back. Art, you got Andy, a.k.a.
Jessica.
Jessica.
Hey, I'm listening.
Oh, yeah, because you'll need one too.
Is that us?
That makes sense. Yeah, that's you. Get up there. Step up. Step up, son. We're sitting back so that the camera
Half a
can get
minute.
you.
Oh,
We want-
I couldn't
Yeah,
understand what the
there's
new
a-
thing
there's a
was. We
reason
were
for
all-
this.
I was trying
Reason for
to.
what?
People want to see wherefore art thou. Remember, 2 fingers from the mic, David. 2 fingers.
You too, Art. You have a tendency to want to stay away from it.
I mean, I'm pretty good.
Look at this.
10 seconds.
Art,
But I'm
10
trying to.
seconds.
Art, 2 fingers.
Okay. I'll sit up, y'all sit back. Oh, ready?
Welcome back to Masculine Journey, and that is a clip that was picked for the bump by somebody that's not even here. You know, which we're good at that. You know, Jim actually picked that.
Masculine journey, yes.
And so Jim is out sailing away
Yeah,
once
right,
again.
yeah.
He will take his 94 days out of the country to another number after he's gone. How long has he gone this time? Do you guys know?
A week is all.
A week. He's gone a week, so he'll be back. But, yeah, we do miss you, Jim, and we hope that you have a good trip. But that is from the Who. It's
Who?
Who? Exactly. And so if you didn't know that song, that's what that is. And we're talking about really, who are you? And that's where it kind of ties in that, do we really know who we are? Well, we know who the world's told us we are, but we often listen to who God tells us we are and what we bring to the world from him. Right? And so that's what we're trying to learn today. And we're going to continue on that topic with our friend Art, who's going to be talking about Andy.
I've got Andy, yes, and I'm a little confused. I must have missed a message or something. I thought Andy said we were going to have a roast tonight. Everything you had, you were supposed to roast them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we can do
I
that.
said reverse roast.
Roast or roast? I don't know. I just have to go with what I prepared here. So
Okay.
Roasted.
So, yeah. So Andy was talking 2 or 3 weeks ago about how he met my dog Max at the retreat, and Max was just loving him, and he wanted to go home. He wanted to take Max home with him, and Max about sat on his lap. That's what he was telling, but you know, he I noticed that he didn't mention my other dog, Bella Claire. Now,
She bit me. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, Bella Claire has a more refined taste there. Yeah, at one point she came and sat down near Andy, and she looked around and realized her mistake, and she got up and moved several feet away.
Oh,
and
this
laid
is a
down
roast.
again.
Did you say Max will pretty much eat anything? You're just partnering up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's-
right.
yeah, I thought I was choice, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty bad. You know, a dog to move away from. I've had women folk do that before, but
me too.
yeah, you know, a dog. You know, and really, I think I think the thing is, you know, she can see into your heart, Andy, and she knows that you covet her toys, her squeaky balls, and her platos,
That's right.
or saucers
Yeah,
that
that's
she
right.
plays with, and
Yeah.
she knew that you wanted her one of her toys that
That's right.
she got away from you, and I
Oh no.
that I think the Hebrew word for covet is hamad. Is that right, Robbie? It's hamad. So you need to tighten up there, Andy, on that, and on your hamad, and do better.
Oh my Hamad.
Yeah, your hamad. Tighten up there. But no, I do have some good things to say about it. Yeah, you know,
Well, you have the tough one, so yeah.
It's a lot.
yeah.
Had to fill some airtime.
Yeah, I reckon he's a pretty good boy there. So I've got a clip. We'll play it. It's bluegrass music again. As Carolina boys, we like our bluegrass music, and Carolina girls. Just by the way, Andy's other name is Jessica. His new name is Jessica. So yeah, I guess he likes bluegrass too.
So, I'm going to interject here and defend myself. I got Jessica.
Oh, let's go
In
to
the
break.
last couple of days,
We'll be right back.
The last couple of days, I'm looking at buying a car. I went in and the AI chat thing, it was Jessica the name. I said, "Thank you, Jessica." And somehow all the follow-ups from the car dealership are, "Hello, Jessica. We'd like to help you find a car." So, you know, I guess I've been renamed, and I'm like, Jim and I'll hang out together when he gets back.
Oh, yeah, they'll buy that.
I mean,
Artificial intelligence, they know each other immediately.
yeah, you got to use proper grammar when you're.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you ready for the clip?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Here's some bluegrass music just for you, Andy. Oh, that's not it.
That's not it.
Wow, that sounded.
Oh, I picked the wrong clip.
Oh.
I told Keith the wrong clip. Oh no, that's on me. I don't have the other clip. We'll have to do that in the after hours. So
He
I
will
can come
take-
back and set it back up.
He will take the ring to Mordor.
Yes, that's on me.
He's sort of a hobbit-looking character.
I was gonna say more like
I
a
picked the wrong one.
Sam, maybe.
Yeah.
Not
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We're gonna have to
call an audible.
call an audible.
Omaha.
And we'll have to get
Yeah.
back and play Andy stuff in the after hours. So you get to see us behind the scenes, right? And making a mistake, which I made it. I told Keith which clips to get and didn't listen to him like I should have. And I told him wrong. And so we'll have to get the correct clip during our break and get that loaded in when I can figure out what that is. And so we'll do that in the after hours. And so if you're not familiar with what after hours is a show we do after this one. That's why it's called After Hours. And so this is the one that goes out over the radio broadcast. And then the after hours is a podcast only. And so both are available through podcasts, through YouTube, through Facebook, and all the different locations, all the different podcast places. But we will actually do that in the next segment when we can get that set back up. And so we can finish this segment a little bit as we wind out the rest of our time here. We're talking about a little bit what we'll talk more about in the after hours of when have you seen other people kind of step into their glory that God has in them? Any examples of that? And I can go ahead and start. For me, my son Caleb came to one of the boot camps, and he got his new name there from God, and it comes from Revelation that we'll all be given a name on a white stone that only us and God know, and that there are names. And when you look back at, there's so many names for God. There's so many names for Jesus. Why would you think that he wouldn't have so many names for his children? If you're a parent, you probably have more than one name for your children. You have nicknames, you have all sorts of things. Some are funny, some are loving, that kind of thing, but there's all sorts of names. And so we have, this new name. And so Caleb got the new name Fisher of Men. And so, he kind of got that. He was a high schooler playing football. And the next year when he played football, he was the captain of the team and was a leader of that, and rallied the team around a lot and really kind of stepped into that. And then he went on to college and played ball, and kind of had that role. Even though he didn't get to play as much as he did in high school, but he still was a leader, and so the coach called him on his leadership stuff and watched him really be able to influence people, even though he wasn't getting a lot of time on the field. He was injured a lot. There's some other things that were going on there. And so he just had some challenges, but watched him step into that. And it really kind of came full circle when Andy was doing the new name talk. And Caleb responded for him. And he got up and did a response and really kind of shared how, how he's lived in that and learned to accept it, that it was such a blessing. And what was really kind of cool about the rest of the story of that happened, Caleb sent out an email or a text to a family group and just said, hey, I got recognized at work, and was talking about why he got recognized at work. And part of it was for going out and recruiting other people to come work there. And he's not a recruiter. He doesn't work in HR. I mean, he's an employee there. But he was so good at recruiting people that always took him to go do this, especially back to his old school. And after he shared that, the next day I sent it out to him and I said, hey, you realize that that's still another example of being fisher of men.
Yeah.
And he said, I never really thought about that. Thank you. That means so much, that you just start doing those things.
Yeah.
And they just become natural. That it's nice when people can point that out and remind you, hey, this is a reflection. This is part of the glory that God gave you uniquely to go do this. And so I think it's pretty cool that, they have that and to watch him kind of step into that. He's now 25 years old, soon to be 26 next month. And he's had probably now about 10 years of having that new name and learning to walk in it and live in it and to experience it more and share it with others. And it's been pretty cool to watch him kind of to grow in that area. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Since we were talking about Andy, one of my favorite things about the last I don't know, 6 or 7 years, I guess, is to watch, Andy come into his glory as a public speaker.
You don't want to do that after hours, right?
I didn't want to do it, but I mean, it was like,
He needs more time than just.
oh
the
my
hour.
goodness, we talk about all the time that the enemy comes against your glory, right? And you could see the enemy come against Andy. He was so nervous. I got nothing to, and all this stuff that was going on. And if you would listen to a radio show, 5 or 6 years ago versus what you hear from Andy today, it's just amazing how well he gets the subject matter. And he understands, clearly where God's worked in his own life in order to lead people, in that same direction. For me, I talked about that eagle story about the eagle call, the free eagle calling the rest of us out of the cage. Well, Andy's that, right? He's been called out of it. And especially when it comes to being fathered by God and to watch sonship, right? But sonship gives him a voice to be the speaker, right? It's like, I'll speak of my testimonies before kings, because when he speaks as a testimony that is coming out so clearly and so beautifully. Sometimes it actually gives me chills to watch him speak up there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know that Robbie first shared about Tammy's heart with children. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my wife loves children. So that was one of the things that I really went to then working on to call out her, because it just, like Robbie described it, she just lights up with kids. And that's one of the things that I started doing is watching for that. And my son, there's the time when you're misdirected, but he's a fighter. So it's misdirected at times when he was younger and was doing things and fighting for the wrong reasons. But to see him fight for others, and he told me of a story one time where he was in college and they're at some party or something, which isn't the right situation, but some girl was being, I forget what the situation picked on, but he stepped up and took care of her in that and basically made sure that guy got away from her and all that kind of stuff. And my daughter, watching her lead, she's always led the younger kids in the horse farm and out riding horses and teaches and helped those. And even now that I hear what she talks about work in her situation, it's not the best situation, but in the midst of it, she still leads and she still works with others very well.
Thank you. Please go to masculinejourney.org. We will have some upcoming events. There's nothing posted right now. There will be some stuff coming up soon. We do have a spring boot camp coming up. We have the dates picked. We're trying to finalize what we're going to do the event on. It may be an advanced camp. It may be a regular camp. We're just waiting on God to give us some more direction. Go to masculinejourney.org. And please pick up the podcast on any of the podcast locations. Love somebody well this week.
Also, at whatever point or if you want me to do whoever, you can mention that now we're streaming
I
live.
don't know which clip it is. I got to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you want to work on that?
Yeah, I want to get the right clip in there because I messed that
Get your
one up.
clip. Yeah.
That's on me. I'm
So
sorry.
wing this.
Well, I looked at him. And
If you email it to me.
yeah, well, it's in the folder. He's probably can pull it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just got to see what it is. Art, what? See, I was confused because it said, this is on me and I take 100% responsibility, but we all labeled the clips differently. And sometimes it was labeled for the person.
I sent it to
And sometimes
I
it
sent
was,
to Rodney, and one has my name on it.
yeah, that's the one I told him to play, but that was your clip.
That was Harold playing me.
Yeah. You can say, I don't think
The original Slippy Lawn Stockings is
The
without
other
a.
one I sent-
Oh, so I don't have one for Andy?
my heart hurts.
Yeah.
Or just play it real quick.
Um,
I don't think we have a clip for Andy.
okay.
If somebody emails me the clip,
No.
here, let me get in there and
Yeah, you gotta shut that off though, because we can't have this going
Let me
across.
get my email
Email?
down. I'll get it on there. If you'll send me, just email rdilmore or rdilmore7@gmail.com.
Here, we'll move these inside here. I'll be right back.
Is that the clip that's being cut or is that the YouTube?
Say that again.
rdilmore7, it's DILMORE, and the number 7@gmail.com.
R. Gilmore 7
Yeah, the number 7,
at
gmail.com. And feel free, all you listening,
By
to
the way,
email me
Roxy
anytime you
goes-
want,
It goes
anything you want.
everywhere I go. It went to Ohio.
I'm always available.
It was in my box at work for a long time, but I took it out recently, so I don't.
Dial now.
I'm looking at my exit. I don't.
That minute and 52 seconds with that clip going and not hearing anything seemed like 10 minutes.
Yeah, if
So
I know that when they're sitting there listening
Yeah.
to this stream and that those
address not
clips
found.
are big quiet
R. Gilmore 7
at gmail.com.
DILLMORE.
No, 1L.
One L.
Yeah, whatever.
This is a good lesson for you. Never put the pickle in Dillmore.
That was definitely an after-hour joke.
We have dad jokes, we have bad jokes.
Let's not forget. Let's not forget. You're live and in color on many platforms.
Many platforms.
So we should not tell bad.
No, not
jokes.
bad.
No
No.
sheep jokes. We're not gonna stop now.
Although I did hear a cool story about sheep. The sheep got bit by a rattlesnake in the face and it swelled up, and the guy was really terrified. It called in the vet, and the vet said, "Oh, well, sheep have got special blood." Seriously, they do. Where they have more in fact, they use sheep blood for antivenoms.
Wow.
And so, just saying that, if you got sheep blood,
Should he have it now?
then you're in good shape.
Since I've seen it.
Does it say it's in it? Are you C. Spock?
Yeah. Morning.
Amarillo by morning?
Yeah.
You sent me the actual YouTube video.
Not the
Yeah.
clip.
No, that's okay.
No, that's all there is.
Robbie's working his magic.
Oh, no, I haven't worked that much.
I was like, I didn't know.
Robbie Arlam
I didn't know
has
that was meant to be a
anti-venom.
clip for Andy. I had no idea.
See the whole thing or the clip?
You
How's the
sent
new
me
heater
a link
chamber?
or something. I remember whatever video you got, you sent to me.
Not sweating
via
yet.
text.
I-
It was via text.
We're okay. We got till 7:47.
All right.
We got 6 minutes.
What part of this do you
After this
want?
weekend coming up.
Yes,
obviously, we
the
got
whole
Christmas,
thing, wouldn't
Yeah.
No, it started at
We don't have much time after that.
1:20.
but I'll be in
One
Georgia.
twenty-
I'll be in Georgia.
1 minute,
much
20
time.
seconds.
The week after.
Amarillo by morning. What part of the song do you want?
And Carrie, she'll have to proceed.
Cut off the first 1 minute, 20 seconds.
And the rest of it, right?
Oh,
So
the
we'll
thing
be-
like,
we'll be
my
up there.
or whatever.
Um,
the
and
cash.
then there's another
You
You gotta cut the, well, you might go do it different. I can only cut the end first.
My wife.
I think we're gonna go Thursday afternoon, or wherever he goes.
Oh, the chicken coop.
Makes no sense. At 1:20, it's music.
He killed it
That's
this
what-
way last year.
Must be 1:31, maybe.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Wait a minute. Let me start
Lost my
over.
wife and a girlfriend.
Let me start over.
Contemplated this thing.
Hey,
Is that what you're talking about?
Wait a
I don't
minute.
want to say PTO for at least 1 week.
Start at 53
One season,
seconds.
What now?
Cut off the first 53 seconds.
Yeah, I told you.
We'll get there. Great week to be live on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see the magic. How the sausage is made.
See, I got
All right.
And it's a mess.
Sure.
I mean, we're authentic.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was about. I said, thanks, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I said, I thought it was actually to everybody.
Oh,
I thought it was just
okay.
me. And they said, it was written all over it, no? I'm like,
All right, so he needs to know where to.
So you're starting up with the sun is high in the Texas sky?
If you ain't there, somebody else.
That's what you want?
You don't want to do.
Yeah. And stop where?
Yeah, I went out.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I would just get what you can, Robbie.
You know, or like,
We'll just go out to the end and you can signal him when to stop it. All you
He's
guys
got to
do,
convert it. We got to convert it, so we got to know because we got like 4 minutes.
you can play the whole thing, and as it's playing, just cut the whole thing from 53 on. As long as you got the start, you can do the end when he just says stop.
Roughly a minute later, 56 seconds later. Give me 56 seconds.
See, you can't do that.
Yeah, we'll go. He can do
Let's
it.
do a minute.
Yeah, okay, well.
Yeah, we'll just figure it out.
Just shows it's us, not
I
pre-planned.
went down
Yeah.
to my neighbor down there, son killed his people.
Challenge is all the mics are live, okay? So I'm gonna record this again, but everybody's gotta be
Yeah,
quiet.
we can't talk.
Yeah, all that's bleeding over into the music. So I apologize, but I don't have a lot of time and he's fairly complicated. All right. Sorry. With 15 seconds to spare.
Thank you, Brian.
Welcome to Masculine Journey After Hours. We have had a great adventure during our break. If you're not joining us live, this would be the week you wanted to join us live because we are now live broadcasting. Yes, we are on YouTube, Facebook, on both those platforms. You can get us live as we're recording the show on Tuesdays. And so if you missed it this week, go back and watch it because you can watch it on those as well and see what we're scrambling to do. Robbie bailed us out on my mistake. A couple mistakes were made. Yeah, I didn't want to point anybody out, but since you guys are right there, I'll put you out. But no, all of our mistakes, but we found the mistake. And so we're good. Robbie bailed us out at the last moment with 4 seconds to go. So good job, Robbie. We got that going for us. Anyway, so we are talking about the topic of glory. And it may sound kind of weird, and we're talking about our glory, but it's not ours. It's borrowed from God, right? And so what we believe is that we're each given uniquely a piece of God's glory to bring to this earth. And we've been talking about it for a few weeks, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. but it is meant to be reflected to the earth. We're called to be the light to the earth, and that light is God's light, right? And so we're called to show that light that's in us to the world. And the great thing is, it's not pressure from you, right? You just got to reflect God's stuff, right? I mean, you just got to let it come out of you, right? And so what we're talking about is the things that we see in each other, right? The glory that each one of us uniquely bring to the earth, so that you may learn to say, okay, let me look at the people around me, and how can I call that out in them, right? Because there's nothing better. You probably won't get them a better Christmas present, honestly. You may get them something really cool, and they may go, oh, hey, an Apple Watch. Hey, it's this. Hey, it's that. But I promise you, they'll never forget this one. If you can think of a way to call out the way they reflect God to this earth, that would be pretty cool. That'd be a great present. And so before my mistake, when we left off, Art had set up talking about Andy, and we're getting ready to go to our clip. But Art, do you want to set anything up, or just make him go back and listen to the other show?
Make him go back and listen. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I roasted Andy pretty good.
You did, and I don't want to repeat that one.
Yeah.
We'll roast him with other stuff here soon.
Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and play the clip. Then.
So we're gonna play the clip, and this is bluegrass music, and here we go. All right, now Art, you have me intrigued. Why that clip?
I thought that's what I was thinking. As everyone heard it while we were trying to get it down on the recording there. But I figured there would probably be a lot of questions as to how that came about. And I'll tell you. To me, that's just a beautiful song, and it just sets kind of a relaxing mood, and that's what when I'm around Andy, when I first came around Andy, that's the kind of the vibe I got from him. He just sets you at ease. It just is. He's a low key, unpretentious kind of person that has the kind of manner about him, and he just makes you feel welcome and accepted. And I think it was Kenny last week said the question was what do you do to see the glory in others? And he said you have to let other people be themselves, and that's what Andy has done for me. Let me be myself, because he is himself. He's a totally genuine, sincere person, and I appreciate that. But the other part of I think when he started with the big dummy clips, I was new here, and he said, I can be a big dummy, and so maybe I don't feel so bad about things I've done, mistakes I've made, or so forth. And let's see, and I know the first time I talked on the radio, Andy said to me, I did so well. He just wished he could talk as well as I do, but I think he's got that wrong. And listening to him, especially lately, listening to him talk about Rodney last week, I wish I could talk so well about you, Andy. I do. But so that's part of what's in this song for me about Andy. And the other part is that in the song, this is a bull rider song, and he's had a lot of hard knocks. He's been lost his saddle. Let's see, where is it? Lost his saddle in Houston, broke his leg in Santa Fe, lost a wife and a girlfriend along the way. But next morning, he's going to drive all night, and he's going to be in Amarillo in the morning on a bull again, still going after it. And that's kind of what I get from Andy. He's had his own hard knocks. He's part of it. Like Robbie was saying about him getting better, feeling like he's not doing very well at public speaking, and then getting better and better. And, maybe he failed at it, but he's up there and he's doing it again and trying harder to improve himself. And it says also in the song that the bull rider says he hopes he gets a good judge. And I would say, Andy, that I'll probably judge you a lot harder, a lot higher than you judge yourself. You're doing wonderful. Doing wonderful.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's
I would add for Andy is that if you need any help, he's going to be there. Doesn't matter what it is. He always offers to come help. Whether it's move something heavy or fix your computer, he's going to come figure out a way to help you. He's just always very, how can I help? That's one of the things he always has, and just a helpful spirit. Unless it's
To get there early at boot camp.
Yeah, I knew that was
That's the only time that's kind of fallen off the wayside. Yeah, you're thinking.
Stick with the roast. I already have that plan.
Oh, did you? Okay, well,
Yeah.
go ahead then.
No, perfect.
Yeah.
That dovetailed well.
Well, good. Yeah, that's what I was going with. But no, he is very, very helpful on stuff, and just all the IT stuff that he does. I mean, yes, he does that for a living, but the last thing you would do sometimes when you do something for a living is do it when you're not at work.
Yep.
And he's just been very gracious to help us with all of our IT stuff that we need help with, and setting up the new computer, and both computers that we've got are both set up with him, and making sure that we're synced with Teams and all the stuff that he does, because we're not a very technology, I can't even say it. I'm verbally challenged, let alone technology challenged, but yeah, we're not very savvy at some of that sometimes, and he does a good job of helping us.
Yeah, I remember when I first came to my boot camp, Andy was one of those like very friendly faces. It was like, okay, you show up, you don't know anybody, and you kind of certain people you just kind of gravitate towards, and you start to learn. It's like Art was saying, just easy going, just mild mannered, doesn't have a big highs and big lows. He's just Mr. Steady Eddie, and I've just loved that about his heart. And he, like you guys said, he was always, oh man, I didn't like my talk. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And it's like, there was times when, yeah, the speech part of it wasn't smooth, but the heart and the message was always crystal clear. And that's the part that I got, because the first time I ever heard him up there, I was like, just a heart for God and a heart for, like you talked about, Bobby, whatever the topic happens to be. I mean, he's all over it. He's putting everything he has into it. And you're like, well, that's because of his relationship with the Father.
Yeah, Andy's like a brother. He's like an IT brother, I guarantee you, because I've pulled on his IT things with various computers and stuff like that. But yeah, he is a guy you wanted to follow with you. That no matter what's going on, he's there to try to help if he can. And if not, he's in your prayer corner. And that's an awesome. He's an awesome guy, even though we give him so much grief. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some people are just fun, or to watch Sam sit across from him and give him the look like, what you got? It's classic stuff. But something that you don't think about all that often with Andy, and I actually don't see this in that many people, is he's a phenomenal patriot. Like, Andy loves his country, and he's concerned about his country, and he prays for his country, and he's up on the leadership, and he's up on many, many things. It's something that really, it's cool to have a friend like that, because when I have a question about something like that, I call Andy. I mean, it's like I'm going to call, because he's going to know, and so it's a neat thing, and something to be admired, that you just don't see, especially in this day and age. I don't think, especially amongst Christians, a lot of them have given up hope, and other people are literally in the fight, and those who know him well know he's in the fight.
Oh, he is. Absolutely.
I definitely want to point out that one thing Andy definitely doesn't have is a myopic attitude.
No,
And I
get a
have
dictionary, dude.
I was about to say, I have a dictionary app downloaded on my phone just because you told me to get one.
You do, cool.
Now, I mean, I remember the first time I met you at the boot camp, outside of the talks and everything like that. I think we were doing listening prayer. And, you really, Sam said it at the last one about, you sit there and say, please don't say me, please don't say me. I mean, I was definitely the one saying, please don't say me. And I think everybody in the group, including you, Andy, had said my name, and then y'all prayed over me. And just right then and there, I could feel God's glory coming off you. I mean, could have been a little bit of the heat coming off you, I'm not sure. But it was definitely something that, I felt and saw in you. And then ultimately, as I'm moving through the walk I'm doing, just as with everybody shows me a little bit, I definitely look at you as somebody that I look up to you and try to, figure out how I'm moving through that as well.
Wow.
Andy, you got anything you want to say? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We've expressed it. It's just great to be part of a band of brothers who call out each other's glory, and I appreciate it. I was going to give up my seat.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, Andy,
the Andy
I know Robbie talked about your commitment, but I don't know of many people that will travel wherever they feel like God's calling them to go to pray. Whether that be the state capitol, the national capitol, he could call you to if there was a world capitol, you would go do that because
Yosemite,
Yeah. Come on, God, call me to Yellowstone. But no, I mean that's you, and you are going to fervently pray, over the things that God's asked you to pray about, and so you're a prayer warrior on top of all that. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
We are moving on to our last person that we're recognizing in our group, just because we haven't seen you in a couple weeks, Grant, and so.
Yeah, where you been?
Yeah, come on, man. You went MIA on us, and so we saw you at boot camp, and then you were gone.
Yeah.
But Rodney is going to talk a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I have Grant, and one of the things, Grant is a man of few words. He's not the easiest guy to get to know sometimes.
What?
Yeah, exactly. You can be very quiet, and you're kind of like Art. You guys came in, you're quiet. We learn more and more as you go along, and we've just loved when you guys have opened up to participating and actually being on the air and now being on live video feed even. But it's been good to see your heart and how you really want to contribute, and with your skills in repair for appliances and things like that. Even this past boot camp, repairing the water heater. And I think there was another AC unit or something that was broken. I found out later you were working on it too. And your heart for wanting to be in the middle of a band of brothers and wanting to do that. And we talked earlier that you were going to share a little bit about some of your story. And I think I'm going to leave that for afterwards. So what I'd like to do is just kind of at this point, go to the clip. And then once we do that, if we come back a little bit, then I'm going to hand it off to you. You can tell your story.
Why don't you let us share a little bit about Grant first, and then you do.
I'd like him to do his story just from the fact, because then I think our context will be around that very well.
Okay.
That as he shares, it's like that's why we think that way, because we all know just a little bit of his story,
right?
And I think with him sharing that a little bit will help us go through, because that's where my comments and my thoughts kind of stem out of his story a little bit.
Okay. So you want to go to the clip?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Here we go. I hope I have the right clip. That's always a good one. It says Grant, so I think it's the right.
It's a good shot.
Yeah, it's a good chance. Although the last one said Art. It was Andy. I don't know. I got something.
Should have said Andy. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
And I think that's where God's going to be saying to Grant, my good and faithful son, I'm very proud of you on that day when he sees you, because you fight through adversity. So if you could share a little bit about your adversity and your story and how you came to join us as well.
One thing is, I love challenges, which is this.
Yeah.
In the past, decades ago, in a car, I had a car accident, being a passenger, and hit telephone pole. Ambulance came, and my skull split open. My brain was dead. The next day, all the organs dead. And the worst I've come for 3.5 months. It has to be a purpose for me.
Yeah. And that's where I see in that time, God calling out to you, just one more, kind of like back to
Facing the Giants.
that was on Facing the Giants, but then also the other movie,
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Yep. I just, because I was split between how they do it, but I really love this one because I can picture him crawling and he's blindfolded. He doesn't know how much farther he's got to go, so he just keeps pushing and pushing. And that's where none of us know how much further we got to go. And I see Grant, he's just always pushing. What I labeled him as was a overcomer. That was the first thing, because I knew you had the coma and the accident, but how long and how much all shut down there is, it's not easy to face the cruel world when you've had something like that happen, and it renders you a little bit slower to just come along and be cognitive, because I know that's one of the things we talked about. The cognitive ability. And then when you come in with us, it's just been nice to see you start to warm up and open up and share and be able to do that, because I know it's not easy, but you never give up, just like in that movie there, and the hard work, and you're a helper. You want to be there. You come to boot camp, and it wasn't about, hey, I'm here to take in. I'm here. You were here to serve, and I just think you've got a very much of a servant's heart. And I know you and Art have got a great relationship now, and you've been out there a few times. I know you've helped him with things, and I just see a man who wants to be in the fight.
Yeah, as I think, you mentioned about boot camp, and I'll share a little bit more about that. But when I think, of some of the stuff that Jesus did, it was very service oriented. He washed other people's feet. He did things that others would look at and go, why would you want to do that? Right. But that's Grant's heart. Grant will just dig in and say, hey, I'm going to go attack this, and I want to find a way to help fix it. I want to serve well. I want to love others through service. Right. And so, we're at a boot camp, and at a boot camp, you typically have you have some free times, right? But there's these talks where you're going to kind of go in and you have a covenant of silence with God on some of them and some things like that. But, Grant was at one session, and we talked about a water heater problem. And the next session, Grant wasn't there. It's like, where's Grant? And he's working on the water heater because there's a problem that needs fixed. And he's just going to love others through service. And you do that quite well, and it comes through very clearly that that's your heart towards others, is you want to find a way to help them. And I think that's a great reflection of Jesus's heart.
Definitely.
And that's the way he uniquely made you, was to say, I'm going to do that through service. I'm going to love others through service. And there's other ways, but that's the one I've seen the most, and it's really cool to watch.
You said love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In boot camp, one of my favorite was a man diving in a lake to be baptized.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I knew.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Totally agree. I mean, what a servant's heart, no doubt about it. And skills. It's not just like he's just willing to help. He's skilled. He knows what he's doing. A lot more than I do. But two, I think Grant there for a while. He came for a while, and then he was gone for a while, and then he came back. And it's been good to have him back. You don't realize what you've missed while they're gone, and just to have him back and with the group. When God puts these things together, he knows what all we need as a group, and Grant's part of that. And just to see him grow, to get up here and talk and share his story on the radio, I'm encouraged, and I appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Robbie?
Yeah, I guess to some extent, I was introduced to Grant through, our Sunday school class, and that I used to teach special needs at Calvary for years and years. And one of the teachers came to me and said, "There's this woman that's associated with her some way, says she's got a son that really needs a band of brothers. Don't you guys meet, and don't you blah blah blah?" And I said, "Oh yeah, we'd love to." And so, he started texting me, and it's amazing to me how many people start that process of they're going to come, or they come to a meeting, and then you never see them again.
Right.
Especially if when they come, you don't hear a lot out of them, right? But Grant obviously he kept coming, right? And there's an aspect of faithful in that of course I would recognize, right? It's like you can see the amount of faith that he has, in spite of the fact that you don't know how much he sees, right? That that's faith, is when you're believing something that you don't necessarily see, and so Grant stuck in there, and it's kind of cool because I think we're all seeing things we didn't see at first either. And so as that has come together, it's really been a beautiful thing. And I really think one of the amazing things for you and me, Sam, is to see God to continue to add to our number.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing to watch it grow over time, a couple times grow, and what the enemy tries to separate, God has a way of bringing out of the ashes and making it stronger. And we're just very grateful for God in doing that, and everybody's brought to us. Now, Art, he's helped you quite a bit over at your place, hasn't he?
Grant's been working for me for a while, off and on when I have projects for him to do, and about his, I can say for him about his work, he never gives up on a problem. He keeps working at it until he finds a solution. Grant works for me. We try to have a little fun too. We had we went back across the back on a 4-wheeler and let Grant see the beautiful country back there. He appreciated that, and we even took a few shots with a cowboy pistol, and Grant almost hit the target one time, I think. No, I'm joking. He did real well with a couple shots. One about got away from him, and we've had some cowboy dinners because I've got a new little fire pit, and we cooked over it. It was some of Jan's food. Jan sent me some leftover food, and we put it all together and cooked it. So he's my friend, and he works for me too.
How about
Thank you.
the dogs?
But we'll have to get that for another day. But, go to masculinejourney.org and look for any upcoming events. And thank you for listening this week. And hopefully you've listened to a way to look for the glory in others. And that's really been the point of these last few weeks, is to look for the glory in others. Go love someone well this week and find their glory.
Wow, and thank you all for
Thank you all
watching.
for listening.
I didn't
This
say-
first
I didn't say much
edition
about the
of-
Lord.
Right, the Masculine Journey After
I
Hours.
think it came through.
Look at that, an hour and 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Thanks so much.